I sat in my parents' living room, watching my brother Kason pace dramatically across the hardwood floors I'd secretly paid for. The same floors that had cost an extra $12,000 because Mom insisted on Brazilian cherry. The same floors I'd been told I wasn't welcome to walk on when I suggested they downsize 5 years ago. My name is Ren, and I'm the family failure who just finished paying off their mortgage. It's a temporary setback, Kason announced, running his hands through his perfectly styled hair. I just need everyone to pitch in a little. $20,000 should cover it until the next quarter. Aunt Natalia gasped sympathetically. Oh, sweetheart, of course we'll help. I took another sip of wine and kept my mouth shut. The familiar weight of disapproving stares pressed against my skin as relatives reached for their phones, already pulling up their banking apps. My sister Paisley shot me a pointed look from across the room. Ren, my mother Virginia's voice cut through the murmuring. Aren't you going to help your brother? I set my glass down carefully. No. The room went silent. Dad's jaw tightened, that familiar tension that always preceded a lecture about family loyalty. What do you mean, no? Kason demanded, stopping his theatrical pacing to stare at me. I mean no. I won't be contributing to your emergency fund. Mom stood up, hands clasped together like she was praying for patience. Ren, honestly, you work in finance. We all know you have the means to help. The means isn't the issue, I replied quietly. The answer is still no, Paisley scoffed. This is so typical. You always think you're better than us, don't you? Sitting there in your designer blazer, judging everyone. I glanced down at my Target clearance rack jacket and chose not to correct her. I'm not judging anyone. I'm just declining to participate. After everything this family has done for you? Mom's voice cracked with practiced emotion. We've always supported you, even when you insisted on moving out at 22. Because I got a job offer in the city, I interrupted. Even when you broke poor Harley's heart. He cheated on me with Summer. And now you can't even help your own brother in his time of need? Aunt Natalia shook her head sadly. Virginia, some people just don't understand family values. You've done your best with her. I watched as my cousin Layla shifted uncomfortably in her seat. She was the only one who'd bothered to ask what actually happened with Harley. $20,000 isn't help, I said evenly. It's enabling. Kason's face reddened. You don't know anything about business. This is a legitimate temporary cash flow issue. What's the business? I asked. He blinked. What? What's the name of your business? What does it do? Who are your clients? The silence stretched thin. Dad cleared his throat. Ren, that's enough. If you're not going to contribute anything positive to this conversation, maybe you should leave. I stood up, smoothing my discount blazer. You're right, I should. Running away again, Paisley muttered. So predictable. I paused at the doorway, looking back at the crown molding I'd funded, the fresh paint I'd financed, the family photos where I was consistently positioned at the edges. The final mortgage payment had cleared last week. 5 years of automatic transfers, 60 months of silent support, over $180,000 of my life poured into these walls. You know what's predictable? I said softly. The fact that none of you have ever asked how this house got saved from foreclosure 5 years ago. Not once. Mom waved her hand dismissively. Your father handled all that. Did he? Something in my tone made Dad look up sharply, but I was already walking away. Behind me, I could hear them returning to the familiar comfort of criticizing my attitude, my selfishness, my failure to meet their standards. I stepped out onto the porch, breathing in the cool evening air. My phone buzzed, probably another family member texting to express their disappointment in me. Instead, it was an email confirmation. Mortgage paid in full, auto-renewal canceled as requested. I smiled, looking back at the warm light spilling from the windows, at my family laughing and drinking inside. They had no idea what was coming. The thought should have made me sad, but all I felt was a strange, quiet peace. Let them laugh. Let them drink. Let them bask in the glow of their perfect family illusion for a few more weeks. Soon enough, they'd learn exactly what happens when the family failure finally fails them. I got in my car and drove away from the house I owned but never belonged in, leaving them to their borrowed time and borrowed luxury. Sometimes the best revenge isn't a bang, but a whisper. And I had 5 years' worth of whispers about to turn into screams. 5 years ago, I sat across from my parents at their kitchen table, watching them stare at the foreclosure notice like it was written in alien script. Mom's hands trembled as she clutched her coffee mug. Dad's face had aged 10 years overnight. "We just need more time," he kept saying. "The market will turn around." I knew it wouldn't. The housing crash had decimated their real estate investments, and Kaysen's failed restaurant venture had drained their savings. They'd refinanced twice already. There was nowhere left to turn. "What about Kaysen?" Mom asked desperately. "He said his new business plan is another fantasy," I cut in, earning a sharp look from Dad. "You know it is." "Well, we have to do something," she snapped. "We can't lose this house. What would people think?" I pulled out my laptop and opened my banking app. "I have a solution." "Ren, please," Dad sighed. "This isn't the time for your lectures about downsizing." "No lectures." I turned the screen toward them. "I can take over the mortgage payments." They stared at my account balance in silence. Years of living below my means, investing wisely, and staying out of drama had left me with substantial savings. "Absolutely not," Dad said firmly. "Why not?" "Because," he struggled, "because we're the parents. We take care of you, not the other way around." I laughed quietly. "When was the last time you actually took care of me?" The truth hung heavy between us. They hadn't supported me since college. Every crisis, every family emergency fund had gone to Kaysen or Paisley. "I have conditions," I said, pulling out a document I'd prepared. "The payments will be automatic, directly to the bank. No one else in the family needs to know. You keep living your life, maintain your image, whatever makes you happy. But this stays between us." Mom reached for the paper, but Dad pulled it away. "This isn't right. Neither is losing everything because you won't accept help from the wrong child." His face reddened, but Mom grabbed his arm. "Quentin, please, we don't have a choice." 2 hours later, the papers were signed. I'd become their secret savior, and they'd become my silent burden. The memory faded as my phone buzzed, bringing me back to the present. A text from Layla. "Can we meet for coffee? That thing at the reunion. I need to talk to you." I met her at a quiet cafe downtown. She was already there, fidgeting with her cup sleeve. "Kaysen's lying," she blurted out as soon as I sat down, "about the business emergency." "I know. No, you don't understand. He came to me first, before the reunion. Tried to get me to invest in some crypto scheme. When I refused, he got angry and admitted he's in debt to some really bad people." I stirred my coffee slowly. Not surprising. "Aren't you worried about him?" I stopped worrying about Kaysen's problems when I realized they're actually his choices. Layla leaned forward. "There's something else. Aunt Virginia was talking to my mom yesterday. They're planning to ask you for more money. They think you're being selfish, hiding your wealth." I pulled out my phone and showed her the mortgage confirmation email. Her eyes widened. "Wait, you've been paying for 5 years. Does anyone else know?" "They will soon." I put my phone away. "The automatic payments have stopped. No renewal." Layla sat back, understanding dawning on her face. "Oh my God, they're going to lose everything." "They're going to lose what I gave them," I corrected. "There's a difference." "Ren," she hesitated. "I get why you're doing this, but it's going to destroy them." "No, it's going to expose them. They destroyed themselves a long time ago." My phone buzzed again. A text from Mom. "We need to discuss something important. Come for dinner tomorrow?" I showed Layla the message. She shook her head slowly. "You're not like them, Ren," she said quietly. And they're going to learn that when it's too late. I declined Mom's dinner invitation with a simple, can't, work deadline. It wasn't exactly a lie. I did have work to do. Letting go of 5 years of silent resentment takes effort. But for the first time since I signed those mortgage papers, I felt lighter, free. Let them scramble. Let them scheme. Let them try to manipulate more money out of their family failure. The house of cards was already falling. They just didn't know it yet. I hugged Layla goodbye and walked to my car, leaving my coffee untouched. I didn't need caffeine anymore. The thought of what was coming was energy enough. My mother's number flashed across my phone screen for the 3rd time that morning. I let it ring while finishing up a work report, knowing exactly what was coming. When it finally stopped, a text appeared. "Ren, please, this is important. Call me." I took a deep breath and dialed her number. She answered on the first ring. "Finally! I've been trying to reach you all morning." "I was in meetings," I lied. "What's up?" "Well," she paused for dramatic effect. "I wanted to talk to you privately about Kaysen's situation, away from all the drama at the reunion." I continued typing, letting the silence stretch. "The thing is, sweetheart, we know you're comfortable, financially speaking, and family should help family quietly, don't you think? Without all the public discussion." "Mom," just hear me out. 20,000 is a lot to ask publicly. I understand that. But maybe we could arrange something more discreet. A private contribution? I know you have money, Ren. We're family." The condescension in her tone made my fingers pause over the keyboard. 5 years of similar conversations flooded back. Always about Kaysen, always about money, always with that same patronizing voice. "No," I said simply. "Excuse me?" "I said no. I won't be contributing anything, publicly or privately." She sucked in a sharp breath. "I don't understand why you're being so difficult about this. After everything we've done—" "What exactly have you done, Mom? I raised you. I supported your choices even when they were questionable." I laughed quietly. "Name one choice of mine you actually supported." The silence was telling. "This isn't about my choices," she finally said. "This is about helping your brother in his time of need. Kaysen's entire life is a time of need. I'm done enabling it." "How dare you? He's trying to build something, to make something of himself. By scamming family members out of their savings?" Another weighted pause. "What are you talking about? Ask Layla about the crypto scheme he tried to pull her into. Or don't. I don't care anymore." "You're just jealous," she snapped. "You've always been jealous of your brother's ambition." I closed my laptop, suddenly tired. "Goodbye, Mom. Don't you dare hang up on me. We're not finished." I ended the call and blocked her number. Within minutes, my phone exploded with notifications. Kaysen had posted on social media. "Some people don't understand loyalty. Sad when money matters more than family. Chas, toxic sibling. Chas, family first." Paisley commented, "Some people were just raised different. Thank God Mom and Dad taught us better values." I screenshot the posts without commenting. Evidence for later. My work phone rang. It was Cole, my boss. "Ren, got a minute? The Singapore account needs immediate attention." "On it," I replied, grateful for the distraction. "You okay? You sound tired." "Family stuff. Nothing important." "Ah," he said knowingly. "Well, if you need to take some personal time—" "Actually, I'd rather work. Work makes sense. That's why you're my best analyst. Speaking of which, that promotion we discussed, the paperwork's ready whenever you are." I glanced at my phone. 3 missed calls from Dad now. "I'll stop by your office this afternoon." After hanging up, I checked my email. There it was, buried between meeting requests and quarterly reports. A notice from the bank. "Mortgage closed. Contact us regarding new mortgage arrangement." I forwarded it to my parents' email address without comment. Let them puzzle over that for a while. My phone buzzed again. Layla. "They're talking about getting a lawyer to force you to help. Something about family financial obligation laws." I snorted. Tell them to go ahead. I'd love to see their faces when they have to explain their finances in court. This is going to get ugly, isn't it? It's been ugly for years, Layla. The only difference is now everyone will see it. A final text came through, from an unknown number. I recognized Aunt Natalia's writing style. Your mother is in tears. I hope you're happy with yourself. We always knew you'd turn on your family eventually. Shame on you. I saved the message with the others. More evidence for the storm that was coming. Opening my desk drawer, I pulled out a folder labeled Family Finances. Inside were 5 years of mortgage payments, bank statements, and emails. Everything documented, everything dated. They wanted to talk about family obligations? Fine. Let's talk about all of them. The first panicked call came at 6 a.m. I watched my mother's name flash across my screen while sipping my morning coffee. By noon, I had 17 missed calls, 32 text messages, and 1 hysterical voicemail. Ren, something's wrong with the house paperwork. The bank says, I don't understand. Call me immediately. I forwarded the voicemail to my secure email, documenting everything. Then I went back to work. At 2 p.m., Paisley stormed into my office. I didn't bother asking how she got past security. What did you do? She demanded, slamming her hands on my desk. I calmly moved my coffee away from her trembling fingers. I assume Mom got the bank notice? The mortgage is closed. How is that even possible? Dad said everything was handled. Clearly not. Fix this, she hissed. Whatever game you're playing, fix it now. I leaned back in my chair. I'm not playing any games. The mortgage is paid off, that's all. Paid off? By who? Whom? Don't you dare get smart with me. Mom's having a breakdown, Dad's not making any sense, and Kaysen— Let me guess, I interrupted. Kaysen's disappeared? Her face flushed. He's dealing with some business matters. Is that what we're calling it now? My office phone buzzed. Ms. Walker, your 2:30 is here. Thank you. Send them in. I stood up. You need to leave, Paisley. I'm not going anywhere until— Security will remove you if necessary. Your choice. She grabbed her designer purse, probably bought with borrowed money, and pointed a manicured finger at me. This isn't over. Family meeting tonight. Be there. No. Excuse me? I said no, I'm done with family meetings. You don't have a choice. I smiled thinly. Actually, I do. That's what none of you have ever understood. My 2:30 appointment appeared in the doorway, Cole, with the promotion paperwork. Paisley took one look at him and stormed out, nearly knocking over a potted plant. Family troubles? Cole asked, raising an eyebrow. Nothing I can't handle. My phone buzzed again. Layla. Your dad's at my parents' house. He's talking about second mortgages. Kaysen's not answering anyone's calls. I replied, Stay out of it. Trust me. Another text arrived, this time from Dad. We need to talk face to face, now. I turned my phone off and focused on Cole. Let's discuss that relocation package. By evening, my inbox was flooded. The family group chat had exploded. Mom. Emergency family meeting tonight, non-negotiable. Paisley. Someone needs to explain where all the money went. Aunt Natalia. I always said that house was too much trouble. Dad. Everyone calm down. We'll sort this out. Kaysen. No response. I stayed silent, watching the chaos unfold. Another message from Layla popped up. They're saying you somehow sabotaged the mortgage, that you must have done something illegal. I laughed out loud in my empty apartment. If they only knew how legal everything had been. How meticulously I documented every payment, every transaction, every conversation for 5 years. My landline rang, the one number they didn't have. It was Cole. Promotion paperwork's processed. You can start in the Seattle office next month if you want. I looked around my apartment, at the boxes I'd already started packing. Perfect timing. Everything okay? You seemed tense earlier. Just watching a house of cards collapse. Anything I should worry about? No, I said, smiling as another frantic text lit up my phone. Everything's falling exactly where it should. After hanging up, I finally checked the voicemail Mom had left an hour ago. We're having a family meeting tomorrow at 7 p.m. Your attendance is not optional. If you don't show up, we'll know exactly what kind of person you really are. I typed out a single response to the group chat. I'll be there, and I'm bringing receipts. Then I opened my safe and pulled out the folder containing 5 years of mortgage statements, bank transfers, and emails. Everything that proved who had really been holding up their perfect family facade. Tomorrow, they'd learn what kind of person I really was. The kind who kept every receipt, documented every lie, and finally stopped setting herself on fire to keep others warm. Let them call their emergency meeting. I had an inferno of truth, ready to burn their illusions to ash. I arrived at exactly 7 p.m., folder tucked under my arm. The house was lit up like Christmas, every room blazing as if they were trying to burn away their problems with electricity. I wondered if they'd noticed I'd been paying that bill too. Mom opened the door before I could knock. Finally, everyone's waiting. The living room was packed. Dad occupied his usual armchair, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Paisley paced by the window, while Aunt Natalia and Uncle Alexander whispered on the couch. Even Layla was there, perched uncomfortably on an ottoman. Kason was conspicuously absent. "Where's the golden child?" I asked, setting my folder on the coffee table. "He's unavailable," Mom said tightly. "Now we need to discuss." "Let me guess. He's gone dark because his business emergency was actually a gambling debt?" Paisley stopped pacing. "How did you—" "Because I'm not an idiot." I sat down, crossing my legs. "So, who wants to start?" Dad leaned forward. "The bank says our mortgage account is closed, completely paid off, but that's impossible." "Is it?" "Of course it is," Mom burst out. "We had years left on the payments. The bank must have made a mistake." "No mistake." I opened my folder and pulled out the first document. The mortgage has been paid in full, all 60 months of payments, right on schedule. Aunt Natalia frowned. "Quentin, you said you were handling the mortgage." "I was," Dad protested. I thought there was an arrangement." "Yes," I said quietly. "There was." I laid out the bank statements one by one. 5 years of automatic transfers, each one highlighted. The room fell silent as they stared at the numbers. "This is impossible," Mom whispered. "These payments, they're from my account, yes. But that's over $100,000. $183,420 to be exact." I placed the final statement on top, plus property taxes, insurance, and utilities. Paisley grabbed one of the papers. "I don't understand. Why would you—" "Because 5 years ago this house was about to be foreclosed. Remember that, Dad? After Kason's restaurant failed and drained your savings?" He wouldn't meet my eyes. "You've been paying our mortgage?" Mom's voice was small. "All this time?" "Someone had to, and we all know it wouldn't be Kason." "Why didn't you tell us?" Aunt Natalia demanded. I laughed. Would it have mattered? Would it have changed how you treated me? How you all talked about me? "You're just doing this to hurt us," Paisley accused, her voice cracking. "To make us look bad." "Hurt you?" I stood up slowly. "I carried you, all of you. For 5 years I carried this family while you called me selfish, while you praised Kason's ambition and mocked my career, while you told everyone I was a failure because I wouldn't help the family." Layla spoke up from her corner. "That's why you never bought a house of your own. Couldn't afford both mortgages. Not that anyone ever asked why I was still renting." Mom started crying, real tears this time, not her usual performance. "But why stop now? Why tell everyone like this?" "Because I'm done. The mortgage is paid. The automatic payments have stopped. And now you all get to experience what it's like when the family failure finally fails you." "We'll lose everything," Dad said hoarsely. "No. You'll lose what I gave you. There's a difference. I gathered my documents back into the folder. You have 30 days to figure out new arrangements. I suggest you start by asking Kaysen about that $20,000 he needed. I'm sure he'll be happy to help, given his family values. Ren, please. Mom reached for my arm. We can talk about this. We could have talked about it 5 years ago, or 4 years ago, or any time in between. But you didn't want to talk. You wanted to take and judge and pretend. I pulled away from her grasp. The pretending stops now. You can't just walk away, Paisley protested. We're family. No, I said, heading for the door. We're just people who share DNA and a mortgage I paid for. There's a difference there, too. I left them in their borrowed luxury, surrounded by the evidence of their hypocrisy. Behind me, I could hear Mom starting to sob, Dad trying to talk about refinancing options, Aunt Natalia already on the phone spreading the news. Let them scramble. Let them cry. Let them finally face the truth about their perfect family and their failure daughter. I had receipts for everything, except their love. And that, I realized, was the only debt that really mattered. The fallout spread through the family like wildfire. By morning, my phone was flooded with messages from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. Some were furious, calling me manipulative and cruel. Others suddenly wanted to reconnect, probably hoping I had more secret money to share. I deleted them all. Layla's text was the only one I read. They're more angry at being exposed than at what they did to you. I was in Cole's office when Paisley made her second appearance at my workplace. Your sister's here again, my assistant messaged. Security is asking what to do. Don't let her up, I replied, then turned back to Cole. About that Seattle position. The office is ready whenever you are. He studied my face. Family still giving you trouble? Not for much longer. I signed the transfer papers. When can I start? Next month. But Ren. He hesitated. Are you sure you want to leave like this? My phone buzzed. Aunt Natalia posting in the family group chat. Just heard from Virginia. The refinancing application was denied. How could you do this to your own parents? I showed Cole the message. Pretty sure. Back at my desk, I found an email from Kaysen, the first contact since he disappeared. Need to talk, I can explain everything. Please don't tell Mom and Dad about the casino debts. Delete. My office phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. Is this Ren? A familiar voice asked. My stomach tightened. Harley? Hey. Long time no talk. My ex's voice was tentative. I heard what's happening with your family. From who? Summer? I named his wife pointedly. Look, I know we ended badly, but I always cared about you. If you need someone to talk to? I hung up. Some people never change. They just wait for moments of weakness. Another message from Layla. Kaysen finally showed up. He's trying to convince everyone he can fix this with some new investment scheme. Uncle Alexander is actually considering it. I replied, their choice, not my problem anymore. My phone rang again. Mom, what do you want? Your father and I have been talking, she said, her voice shaking. We understand you're hurt, but surely we can work something out. Maybe a new payment plan? No. Ren, please. This house, it's our home. No, Mom. It was my investment. One that never paid off. She started crying again. How can you be so cold? After everything. After everything you did? Or everything you didn't do? I'm your mother. Only when it costs me something. I ended the call and turned back to my computer, where an email from the Seattle office waited. My new apartment was ready, fully furnished as requested. New city, new start, new life. My desk phone buzzed again. Ms. Walker, there's a delivery for you. A large envelope arrived from the bank, final confirmation of the mortgage closure and a refund check for overpayment. $1,200, the last ghost of my 5-year sacrifice. Layla called just as I was leaving the office. They're saying you planned this all along, that you deliberately set them up to fail. I laughed. They really can't accept that they did this to themselves, can they? Aunt Virginia's moving in with Paisley next week. The house. They can't keep it. I know. Kaysen's talking about moving to Florida. Something about a fresh start. Running away, you mean? Yeah. She paused. Are you really moving to Seattle? Next month. Will you ever come back? I looked at the refund check on my desk. Nothing to come back to. That night, I sat in my half-packed apartment and opened my laptop. The family group chat was still exploding. Mom. Please, everyone pray for our family in this difficult time. Paisley. Can't believe my own sister would do this to us. Aunt Natalia. Some people just don't have hearts. Uncle Alexander. Maybe Kaysen's new investment idea could help. I left the chat without commenting. Let them spin their stories. Let them play their roles. Let them convince themselves they were the victims. The truth had a way of lasting longer than lies. My phone lit up one final time, a message from Mom. Tell me this didn't give you joy. I stared at the words for a long moment before typing my response. Joy? No. Freedom? Yes. Then I blocked her number, turned off my phone, and started packing the rest of my life into boxes. Sometimes the heaviest things we carry are the expectations of people who never carried us at all. And sometimes the best revenge is simply walking away, leaving them to face the emptiness they created. The estate auction notice arrived in my email 3 weeks later. Someone, probably Layla, had added me to the distribution list. The photos showed my parents' house stripped bare, each room a hollow echo of its former pretense. I didn't delete the email. Instead, I printed it out and added it to my folder. One last receipt. My phone rang. Cole calling from Seattle. Your office is ready. When are you flying out? Tomorrow morning. I looked around my empty apartment. Just one stop to make first. You sure that's wise? I thought about the letter in my purse. No, but it's necessary. The morning of the auction dawned cold and clear. I parked across the street, watching potential buyers file into the house where I'd poured 5 years of my life. Each one carried a bidder's number, ready to pick apart the remnants of my family's facade. Mom and Dad stood off to the side, looking small and old. Paisley hovered nearby, probably already planning how to spin this on social media. No sign of Kaysen. Last I heard, he'd actually gone through with moving to Florida. I waited until the auction started before approaching the house. No one noticed me. They were too busy bidding on the Brazilian cherry floors I'd paid for. The mailbox still worked. I slipped the envelope inside, unsigned, built on silence, maintained in shame. Let it fall with your lies. I wondered if you'd come. I turned to find Layla standing behind me. Just saying goodbye, I said. To the house? Or to them? Both, neither. I shrugged. Does it matter? She glanced at the auction scene. Aunt Virginia's been telling everyone you'll change your mind, that you'll swoop in at the last minute and save them again. Of course she is. Will you? I laughed softly. Would you? Inside, I could hear the auctioneer's voice rising. Sold to bidder number 47. Mom's cry carried across the lawn. Dad put his arm around her, but his face was blank, defeated. Paisley was already walking away, phone to her ear, probably calling her husband to complain about having to house her parents. They're saying you destroyed the family, Layla said quietly. The family destroyed itself. I just stopped holding the pieces together. A moving truck pulled up. The new owners weren't wasting any time. I watched as Mom sank to her knees, her perfect image finally cracking completely. Shouldn't you? Layla gestured toward them. No. I turned away. I've spent enough time picking up their pieces. My phone buzzed, a text from Kaysen. Found out about the gambling debts, didn't you? That's why you stopped the payments. Real nice, sis. Real nice. I showed Layla the message. She shook her head. Still making it about him. Some things never change. But some things do. I deleted his number. My flight leaves in 3 hours. Seattle, right? New job? New everything. She hugged me suddenly. They never deserved you, you know. I know. That's why I'm leaving. Behind us, the auctioneer continued. Next item. Family portrait collection, including frames. I didn't stay to hear the bids. Some things weren't worth their price, no matter how much you paid. Back in my car, I took one last look at the house. Mom had recovered enough to stand, leaning heavily on Dad. Paisley was back, gesturing dramatically as she talked to the auctioneer. The new owners were already measuring for renovations. My phone lit up with notifications. Mom, if you're reading this, it's not too late, please. Paisley, hope you're happy with yourself. Aunt Natalia, some daughter you turned out to be. Layla, safe travels, don't look back. I started the engine and pulled away from the curb. In my rearview mirror, I watched the house shrink, becoming smaller and less significant with each passing block. The guilt I'd expected to feel never came. Instead, there was only a quiet certainty, a peaceful understanding that some debts can never be repaid. Not because they're too large, but because they were never valid to begin with. At a red light, I opened my banking app and looked at my account. Without the mortgage payments, my balance was higher than it had ever been. Enough for a down payment on my own house, maybe. Or investments that would actually pay returns. The light turned green. I drove toward the airport, leaving behind the house that was never a home, the family that was never mine, and the weight of expectations I was finally strong enough to set down. Sometimes the heaviest chains are the ones we forge ourselves, and sometimes the strongest thing we can do is finally let them break. The Seattle rain tapped against my office window as I reviewed the quarterly reports. My phone buzzed. Layla's weekly check-in. You'll never guess who showed up at my door yesterday. Kaysen, back from Florida claiming he's found himself, asked if I knew your new address. I smiled. What did you tell him? That he lost the right to know that information about $180,000 ago. My assistant knocked, holding a certified letter. This just arrived for you. The bank's logo caught my eye. Inside was a check for $1,200. Final account reconciliation, overpayment refund. I stared at the amount, the exact cost of the Brazilian cherry flooring my mother had insisted on. The universe had a sense of humor after all. Still there? Layla asked. Yeah, just got the last piece of the puzzle. Speaking of pieces, did you see Paisley's social media post? I hadn't. I'd blocked them all months ago. But I could imagine something sanctimonious about forgiveness and family loyalty, probably with a filtered photo of her comforting our mother. Mom and Dad are living in her guest house now, Layla continued. She makes sure everyone knows what a sacrifice she's making, though she conveniently leaves out the part about charging them rent. Of course she does. I picked up the check again. Hey, want to help me do something? An hour later, I was on a video call with the director of a women's financial independence charity. Ms. Walker, this donation is incredibly generous, she said, looking at the $200 figure on the form. May I ask what inspired it? Let's just say I understand the importance of financial freedom. After the call, Layla texted, perfect use for that money. Better than Brazilian cherry floors. My office phone rang. Cole. That Singapore account you restructured? Board's impressed. They're talking promotion. Again. Thanks, but I'm good where I am. You sure? It's a big opportunity. I looked out at the Seattle skyline, at my reflection in the rain-streaked window. I've learned that bigger isn't always better. Sometimes enough is exactly right. That evening I found a letter in my mailbox. No return address, but I recognized Layla's handwriting on the envelope. Inside was a photo from the auction. My parents standing lost in their empty house, Paisley dramatically consoling Mom, the auctioneer's gavel mid-fall. But in the background, through the window, you could just make out my figure at the mailbox, leaving my final message. I pinned it to my bulletin board, not as a reminder of what I'd lost, but of what I'd gained by letting go. My phone lit up with a news alert. Local restaurant chain files for bankruptcy. The owner's quote caught my eye. Despite significant family investment. I didn't need to read further. Kayson's latest venture, undoubtedly funded by whatever he'd squeezed from our relatives after Florida. The charity sent a confirmation email. Your donation will help 3 women escape financial abuse this month. I replied with one more donation, this time in Layla's name. She'd earned it. A final text came through as I was making dinner. An unknown number, but I knew who it was. Your father's having heart problems. Paisley's struggling with the medical bills. If you have any humanity left. I blocked Mom's new number and added it to my collection. She'd gone through 6 phones trying to reach me. Opening my laptop, I started typing, Dear Mom, I've been carrying this letter in my head for months. But today I realized something. You don't need to read it. I don't need you to understand. I don't need you to approve. I don't need you to change. I just need to be free. So this letter will never be sent. Like the mortgage I paid, the silence I kept, and the daughter you wanted me to be. It's something I'm letting go. Goodbye, Ren. I saved the file but didn't print it. Some words are more powerful unspoken. Instead, I opened my banking app and set up a new automatic payment, this time to my own future. No more mortgages built on silence, no more love measured in dollar signs. The rain had stopped. Through my window, I could see stars emerging in the clearing sky. Each one a tiny light, breaking through the darkness. Each one free, shining on its own terms. I thought about that last check, now transformed into something meaningful. Something that would help others break their own chains. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's simply becoming who you were always meant to be. Free.